Welcome back to Rare CoinX PRO. Today we are exploring 3 Lincoln Wheat Pennies from the absolute final chapter of one of the most beloved coin series in American numismatic history. The 1957D, the 1958 no-mint mark, and the 1958D are not just late-era wheat pennies. They are the closing pages of a 50-year story that began in 1909 and ended forever in 1958 when the Lincoln Memorial reverse replaced the beloved wheat stalks that had defined the American cent for half a century. These coins may look common in your spare change, but every one of them carries extraordinary stories, specific era dimensions, and condition rarity auction records that will genuinely reframe the way you think about the humble wheat penny. Stay with us all the way through because our final coin today carries the single most valuable Lincoln cent error ever discovered. A coin that broke the $1 million barrier at auction and redefined what a wheat penny can be worth. Let's start with our first coin, the 1957D Lincoln Wheat Penny. The 1957D Lincoln Wheat Penny presents one of the most dramatic condition rarity paradoxes in the entire late-era wheat series. A coin whose production figure is so enormous it is almost incomprehensible, yet whose finest known examples are so genuinely scarce that they command auction prices that leave most people speechless. Abundant on the rarity scale, largely due to its third highest mintage number of the wheat series, 1,051,342,000 struck. Over 1 billion coins from Denver alone in 1957. 1 billion. And yet here is the reality that every informed collector of this series knows and deeply appreciates. The 1957D had the biggest mintage, over 1 billion coins, yet a top-grade MS67 Plus red example is genuinely rare. Only 18 exist in that grade. 18 examples at MS67 Plus red from over 1 billion minted. That survival ratio, 1 billion produced, 18 surviving in gem condition, is the condition rarity paradox expressed in its most extreme and dramatic form. A 1957D Lincoln cent in MS67 Plus red recently reached a new benchmark of $6,600 at auction. Finding pristine examples today is difficult due to the large-scale coin processing of the era. Manufactured coins fell into large communal bins and struck each other constantly, creating the microscopic contact marks that eliminate gems at every production stage. By 1957, America was in the heart of the Eisenhower era. The economy was booming, the space race was beginning with Sputnik's launch, and the Denver Mint was running at maximum capacity to meet the enormous commercial appetite of a prosperous nation. The coins produced in Denver that year carry the confident energy of late 1950s America, and they were struck in the second-to-last year of the Wheat Penny series, giving them a natural penultimate-era collector significance that is growing stronger with every passing year as more collectors appreciate the closing chapter narrative of the beloved design. Striking errors represent the most profitable segment for treasure hunters on the 1957D. The BAE variety, emerging from a die crack, forms a vertical line resembling a letter I between the letters L and I in Liberty. Valuation for this variety in 2026 fluctuates between $5 and $50. More dramatic errors command considerably more. Double strikes with significant image displacement reach up to $1,500, and striking on a blank from a different denomination commands over $3,000. The famous struck on a washer error documented for 1957 pennies is among the most visually extraordinary minting anomalies in the entire late-era wheat series. The 1957D is composed of traditional bronze, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, at 3.11 grams and 19 millimeters diameter with a plain edge. The D mint mark appears below the date confirming Denver production. The 3 color designations apply fully. Red at 95% or more original copper brilliance commands the highest premiums, red-brown commands intermediate values, and brown represents base values at every grade level. The tiny VDB initials of designer Victor David Brenner appear at the base of Lincoln's shoulder on the reverse, a detail that connects every 1957D penny to the founding sculptor who designed the Lincoln cent in 1909 and whose vision had graced the American cent for 48 years by the time the 1957D was struck. The 1957 Wheat Penny is made from 95% copper and is part of the final years of the Wheat Penny series before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. Collectors appreciate it for its classic design and its role as one of the last coins in the series. The penultimate year status drives consistent and growing collector interest as the historical distance from 1957 increases. Record sales in 2026 fixed a 1957 Wheat Penny D in MS67 Plus grade at a price of $4,200, and this trend links to the limited number of certified samples in population reports. The proof dimension also generates specialist excitement. The DCM proof had the smallest surviving population at roughly 35 to 40 coins total, making it a completely different kind of rare. And the most valuable 1957 penny sale found is $29,375 for a 1957 proof Lincoln cent graded PCGS PR68 DCM. 1957 Wheat Penny value in 2026 is usually about $44,000 to $50,000 for a circulated coin. Uncirculated 1957 Wheat Pennies typically range from $90,000 to $125,000 or more depending on mint mark, red color, and grade. In MS65RD, examples command approximately $150,000 to $300,000. In MS67RD, examples command $335,000 to $340,500 depending on eye appeal and surface quality. A 1957 D Lincoln cent in MS67 Plus red recently reached a new benchmark of $556,600 at auction in January 2025. The most valuable 1957 penny sale found is $729,375 for a 1957 proof Lincoln cent graded PCGS PR68 DCM. 4 error coins, double strikes with significant image displacement reach up to $991,500, and striking on a non-standard metal blank commands over $1.30 million. First, always look for the BIE die crack variety on every 1957 D you examine. Check the space between the letters L and I in Liberty for any vertical line resembling the letter I, which is the telltale mark of this documented and collectible die error. Second, examine the D mint mark under magnification for any repunched mint mark varieties where a secondary D impression is visible offset from the primary. Third, always weigh any 1957 D that looks or feels different. A wrong planchet error on a dime blank weighs 2.5 grams rather than the standard 3.11 grams. Fourth, assess color carefully in natural daylight. A full red 1957 D after nearly 7 decades of storage is an exceptional survival. Fifth, never clean your coins under any circumstances. And sixth, for any example grading MS65RD or higher, professional PCGS or NGC certification is strongly recommended. The condition documentation is the foundation of value at every premium grade level. Now let's move on to our second coin, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny, no mint mark. The 1958 no mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny carries a distinction so historically significant that every serious collector of American coins needs to understand it immediately and completely. This is the last year of the wheat reverse at the Philadelphia Mint, and in proof format it is the last proof coin ever struck with the beloved wheat stalk design that had graced the American cent since 1909. Did you know this is the very last proof coin to carry the wheat reverse? That alone gives it a special place in any Lincoln set. Exactly 875,652 were struck using polished dies on polished planchets, producing that distinctive mirror finish. The 1958 Lincoln Wheat cent closes the beloved wheatback era with a striking paradox. Over 1 billion coins were struck, making it one of the most common pennies ever made. Yet it hosts the most valuable Lincoln cent error known to exist. That extraordinary statement deserves to be read twice, because it perfectly captures what makes the 1958 Philadelphia cent one of the most simultaneously common and potentially extraordinary coins in American numismatic history. Most people don't realize the Philadelphia issue is actually the scarcer of the two 1958 business strikes. Only 252,525,000 were made. While 252 million sounds like an enormous number, it is significantly lower than the Denver issue and makes the Philadelphia cent the rare business strike of the year. In high grades, this relative scarcity becomes meaningful. Gem survivors from the Philadelphia issue are harder to find than the Denver equivalent in equivalent conditions. The last wheat reverse status gives the 1958 no-mint mark proof coin a specific and emotionally powerful collector appeal that no other proof wheat penny can claim. Holding a 1958 proof Lincoln cent is holding the very last proof expression of a design that was beloved for half a century and replaced forever in 1959. That closing chapter significance resonates profoundly with collectors who appreciate the historical arc of American coinage, and it drives sustained and growing demand for the finest known examples. The 1958 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is composed of traditional bronze, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, at 3.11 grams and 19 millimeters diameter. The absence of any mint mark below the date confirms Philadelphia production. The finest NGC-graded MS-68 RD sold at Heritage Auctions in May 2023 for $1,920. The proof issue of 875,652 pieces, struck using polished dies on polished planchets producing a distinctive mirror finish, represents the absolute final expression of the wheat penny design in proof format, and in deep cameo condition these coins are among the most desirable of all late-era proof wheat cents. The last wheat reverse at Philadelphia status drives collector demand across multiple communities simultaneously. Date and mint mark set builders need the 1958 Philadelphia cent as the closing Philadelphia issue of the series. Proof collectors prize the last ever wheat penny proof above almost every other late-era proof issue. And era collectors find the 1958 Philadelphia date one of the most rewarding in the entire series, because the 1958 doubled die obverse error, while produced at Philadelphia with no mint mark, is the single most valuable Lincoln cent error ever discovered. The 1958 DDO-FS 101 sold for $1,136,250, only 3 known. This is the first Lincoln cent ever to break the $1 million barrier at auction, and it was struck in the last year of the Wheat Penny series at the Philadelphia Mint. Is your 1958 Wheat Penny worth 15 cents or $1 million? 2026 Value Guide covers mint mark varieties, red versus brown color grades, DCM proof, and rare DDO era coins. Standard circulated examples of the 1958 no-mint mark are worth $30,000 to $55,000. Uncirculated examples range from $72,000 to $100,000 in lower grades. In MS-67 red, examples command $151,000 to $192,000. The proof issue with 875,652 produced commands approximately $218,000 to $315,000 for standard proof examples and significantly more for deep cameo designated pieces. The 1958 DDO-FS 101 sold for $441,250, making it the most valuable Lincoln cent error known to exist, with only 3 examples confirmed. The second highest sale was an MS-64 red DDO at $736,000 in 2018, demonstrating that even a lower-grade example of this extraordinary error commands prices that defy any conventional expectations for a 1-cent coin. First and most critically, examine every 1958 no-mint mark penny you encounter under at least 5x magnification, focusing specifically on the date and the word Liberty, looking for any raised secondary impression offset from the primary design elements. The 1958 DDO-FS 101 shows dramatic doubling clearly visible to any careful examiner. If you see it, stop everything and immediately take the coin to a professional authenticator. With only 3 known examples, the discovery of a 4th would be among the most significant numismatic events in modern American coin collecting. Second, look for the last wheat proof context when seeking 1958 proof coins. The 875,652 proof strikes represent the final expression of a 50-year design tradition, and owning one in deep cameo condition is a genuinely historic collecting achievement. Third, always assess color in natural daylight. Fourth, examine the wheat stalk lines on the reverse for sharpness. Well-struck 1958 Philadelphia examples show crisp, fully separated stock details. 5th, never clean your coins. And 6th, for any example grading MS65RD or higher or any potential proof DDO candidate, immediate professional PCGS or NGC certification is absolutely essential. And now, let's take a look at our third and final coin, the 1958D Lincoln Wheat Penny. Our final coin today is the one that closes the entire Lincoln Wheat Penny series with the largest production number of any coin in today's video, and it carries the same extraordinary DDO error story that connects both of today's 1958 coins to the single most exciting wheat penny discovery in modern numismatic history. The 1958D Lincoln Wheat Penny is the very last Denver-minted wheat penny ever produced, the final chapter of the beloved series from the Denver Mint, and understanding what that closing chapter status means for collectors is the key to appreciating why even a common-looking 1958D deserves a careful second look. The Denver Mint produced a massive 800,953,300 pennies in 1958, making this the most common variety of the year. Despite the high mintage, well-preserved examples still attract collector interest as part of the final year of the Wheat Cent series. Over 800 million coins, the highest production figure among our three coins today, and the largest Denver wheat penny production of the entire late era. And yet, as we have seen again and again throughout today's video, enormous mintage numbers mean almost nothing at the very top of the condition spectrum. The 1958D carries the weight of being the last Denver wheat penny ever, the final impression of the beloved wheat stock reverse from the Denver Mint, after 49 years of production. 1958 was the last year the U.S. Mint would issue the wheat cent. After 1958, the reverse of the penny would be updated to show the Lincoln Memorial instead. Every 1958D penny is one of the last wheat pennies ever made at Denver, and that final year status is something that every serious Lincoln cent collector understands and values deeply. A PCGS MS67 Plus RD CAC example from the Whispering Pines collection brought $3,600 at Heritage Auctions in January 2025. And at the very pinnacle of condition, high-grade specimens in MS67 Plus Red have sold for over $3,000 at auction, and one MS68 specimen sold for over $9,500 on eBay, demonstrating the premium that the finest known 1958D examples command from collectors who appreciate what the condition rarity paradox produces even in coins struck by the hundreds of millions. The error dimension of the 1958D is where today's most extraordinary story reaches its climax. The 1958 doubled die obverse error, with its record-breaking $1,136,250 auction result, was produced at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark. But the error landscape of the 1958 year as a whole affects how collectors approach every 1958D as well. 1958 wheat errors include the overstruck on Cuba centavo error. These look very much like a regular penny but are slightly smaller. Curved and clipped planchet errors are selling for between $45 and $200 on average. The 1958D is composed of traditional bronze, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, at 3.11 grams and 19 millimeters diameter. The D mint mark appears below the date confirming Denver production. This is the last year the Lincoln cent would be produced in this traditional bronze composition at the Denver Mint. From 1959 onwards, the Memorial reverse design would appear on cents of the same composition, but the wheat reverse that had defined the American penny since 1909 was gone forever. The 1958D is underappreciated for its quality. If you're cherry-picking rolls, this is a date where you might actually find a gem. I think the 1958D is underappreciated for its quality. This assessment from specialist numismatists is significant. The 1958D tends to receive less collector attention than the more dramatically historic Philadelphia no mint mark issue, but its strike quality and the availability of gem survivors in original rolls makes it a rewarding date for patient collectors who are willing to look carefully. The collector demand for the 1958D is consistent and driven by the most fundamental and emotionally resonant force in all of Lincoln cent collecting. It is the last Denver wheat penny. Every collector who builds a complete Lincoln cent date and mint mark set knows that the 1958D is the final piece they need from Denver to complete the Wheat Penny chapter of their collection, and that closing chapter status gives it a natural and enduring foundational demand that never weakens. As the last year of the Wheat Cent series, the 1958 Lincoln penny holds special significance for collectors and history buffs. The condition rarity dynamic also drives meaningful specialist demand at the very top of the grading scale. From over 800 million produced, the number of examples surviving in MS67 red or higher is genuinely small, and registry set collectors competing for the finest known 1958D examples drive fierce bidding whenever top-grade certified pieces come to market. The underappreciated quality narrative that specialist numismatists identify for this date adds further appeal for collectors who enjoy finding value where the broader market has not yet fully looked. A circulated 1958D wheat penny is worth $15,000 to $21,000 depending on condition, while uncirculated examples range from $29,000 to $55,000 based on grade and color. High-grade specimens in MS67 Plus Red have sold for over $83,000 at auction. In MS65 RD, examples typically command $110,000 to $125,000. In MS67 RD, values range from $500,000 to $550,500. A PCGS MS67 Plus RD CAC example from the Whispering Pines collection brought $593,600 at Heritage Auctions in January 2025. One of the rarest pennies, an MS68 graded 1958D wheat penny, once sold for over $619,500. 4 error coins, clipped planchet errors command $645,000 to $800,000. Overstruck Cuba centavo examples are valuable discoveries, and any genuine doubling on the date or lettering commands meaningful premiums above standard values. First, always lead with the last Denver wheat penny narrative when presenting the 1958D. It is the closing chapter of 49 years of Denver wheat penny production, the final expression of a design tradition that shaped American coinage for half a century, and that historical weight gives the coin an emotional resonance that engages collectors and non-collectors alike. Second, examine this coin carefully for the overstruck on Cuba centavo error. These examples are slightly smaller than a standard cent, and any 1958D that looks or measures slightly small deserves immediate professional attention. Third, always look for clipped planchet errors. Curved or straight clips at the edge of the coin are visible without magnification and command premiums of $45 to $200 for clearly defined examples. Fourth, take the specialist advice seriously and cherry-pick this date in rolls if you have access to original roll examples. The underappreciated quality of the 1958D means that gem survivors may be more available here than in some other late-era dates. Fifth, examine the D mint mark under magnification for any repunched mint mark variety. Sixth, assess color carefully. A full red 1958D in gem uncirculated condition is the finest expression of the last ever Denver wheat penny, and its collector significance is enormous. And seventh, for any example grading MS65 RD or higher, or for any confirmed error coin, professional PCGS or NGC certification is absolutely essential. The authentication adds credibility and market value that no uncertified coin can match. And the last wheat penny context makes certification all the more important for these historically significant final chapter pieces. As we have seen today, these 3 Lincoln wheat pennies from the final chapter of the series prove that the most historically significant coins in any collection are often the ones hiding in plain sight in old coin jars and forgotten rolls. The 1957D opens our exploration with over 1 billion minted and just 18 ever certified at MS67 Plus Red, the condition rarity paradox at its most dramatic, while its BIE die crack variety, wrong planchet errors, and double strike anomalies give specialist collectors a rich and rewarding error landscape to explore. And the deep cameo proof issue with just 35 to 40 known holds an all-time series record of $29,375. The 1958 no mint mark Philadelphia cent carries the most historically significant distinction of any coin in today's video. It is the last proof wheat penny ever struck, the closing Philadelphia chapter of a 50-year design tradition, and hidden within its production is the single most valuable Lincoln cent error ever discovered, the 1958 double die obverse FS 101 that broke the $1 million barrier with a sale of $1,136,250 in January 2023, with only 3 examples confirmed in existence. And the 1958D closes our journey as the very last Denver wheat penny ever produced, 800 million coins struck to end a Denver production run that stretched back to 1911, with gem red survivors commanding over $9,500 at auction, and every single example carrying the historical weight of being one of the last ever made. Whether you are just beginning your coin collecting journey or you have been collecting for years, always check your old coin jars, your inherited collections, and your family's forgotten pennies, because you never know when you might discover a hidden treasure. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another exciting coin video from Rare CoinX PRO. Share this video with your fellow collectors and we will see you in the next one. Happy collecting!